Okay, so if you're learning Korean, you have definitely been here before. You say sorry for some tiny little thing, and all of a sudden, okay, so if you're learning Korean, you have definitely been here before. You say sorry for some tiny little thing, and all of a sudden, so what is going on here? Why does something as simple as saying sorry feel so incredibly complicated? You use the word you learned in your textbook, but the reaction you get is not what you expected. It's a super common feeling for learners, but trust me, the answer is way simpler and, honestly, more interesting than you think. Here's the thing. In Korean, an apology isn't just one word. It's way more like a social control panel. You're not just saying, oops, my bad. You are actively adjusting and defining your relationship with the other person right there in that moment. And that gets to the heart of that vibe shift. You see, in English, the word sorry is this giant catch-all. It works for everything from spilling coffee on your boss to just bumping into someone on the street. But in Korean, each apology sends a very, very specific signal about the social dynamic. And if you send the wrong signal, well, that's when you get the vibe shift. Okay, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Choosing the right way to say sorry in Korean has almost nothing to do with how sorry you actually feel inside. It's a social calculation, and it's based on two simple things: the social distance between you and the other person, and the size of the burden you've just caused. All right, so let's get our hands on this control panel. Just imagine it has three main knobs you need to learn how to use. Once you master these three, you'll be able to navigate pretty much any situation with confidence. Okay, knob number one is distance. This is exactly what it sounds like. How well do you know this person? Are they a complete stranger on the subway, or are they your best friend? I mean, you wouldn't talk to them the same way, right? This knob dials that level of formality up or down. Next up, we have knob number 2, respect. This one's all about the social hierarchy. Are you speaking to your boss, a client, someone much older than you? This knob makes sure you're showing the right amount of deference to their position. And in a work setting, yeah, getting this one right is absolutely crucial. And our third and final knob is burden. Basically, how big of a deal was what you just did? How much did you actually inconvenience the other person? You know, spilling a single drop of water on someone's desk is a tiny, tiny burden. But being 30 minutes late to a big meeting, that's a much bigger burden, and your apology has to reflect that. So, with those 3 knobs, distance, respect, and burden, in your head, let's build a really simple tool to help you pick the right phrase when you're under pressure. We're going to call it the apology ladder. It just organizes the phrases from the smallest slips to the biggest mistakes. So check it out. Here's how the ladder works. On the very bottom rung, for those tiny etiquette things like needing to squeeze past someone, you've got 실례했습니다. Then you take a step up to 미안해요. This is for people you know, friends, peers, where you want to keep things warm and friendly. And then, at the very top, for formal accountability, think work, strangers, or serious situations, you have 죄송합니다. And the best part is this ladder basically turns into a 5-second cheat sheet. Is it a minor interruption? Just use 실례했습니다. Is it an acquaintance or peer? 미안해요 is your go-to. Is it a stranger, a work thing, or something kind of serious? 죄송합니다 is always your safest bet. This is the whole flowchart right here. All right, enough with the theory. Let's see how this whole toolkit actually plays out in some real-world situations you're gonna face. Okay, scenario 1. You accidentally bump into a stranger in a super crowded station. Your choice? 죄송합니다. Now why? Because the distance knob is cranked all the way up. They're a total stranger. So you default to the highest level of formal accountability. Think of it like social insurance. It's polite, it's safe, and it shows you respect their personal space. Next up, you're running late for a team meeting at work. The phrase is 늦어서 죄송합니다, which is I'm sorry for being late. Here, you're turning up the respect knob because it's a professional setting, and you're turning up the burden knob because you've made everyone wait. This phrase shows you're taking full ownership of that inconvenience. But what if you just forgot to bring a book that a friend asked you to return? In that case, you'd say 미안해요, 내가 깜빡했어, which is like, sorry, it totally slipped my mind. You use 미안해요 because the distance is super small. It's a friend. Using the super formal 죄송합니다 here would just feel cold. It would create this awkward distance between you two. And for our last one, let's say you need to get a waiter's attention. You'd say 실례합니다, 잠깐만요. Excuse me, just a moment. Now, here's the key. Notice you didn't actually do anything wrong. There's no mistake. The burden is tiny. You're just politely interrupting their space, which makes 실례합니다 the perfect and honestly the most elegant choice. Okay, so now that we know the right way to do things, let's talk about the common mistakes that create that cringy, awkward vibe shift. These are really easy traps to fall into, but they're also super easy to avoid once you see them. Probably the number one mistake learners make is using the super casual mian with a stranger. By just dropping that polite ending, you're essentially jumping over a social fence you haven't been invited to cross. It can come off as really abrupt, childish, or even like you're talking down to them. But the flip side is just as awkward. Using the super formal 죄송합니다 with a really close friend for some tiny little thing, yeah, they'll probably just laugh, but it creates this weird, cold emotional space. It's like putting up a glass wall between you when what you really mean to do is be warm and close. So, what's the goal here? How do you make sure your apology sounds competent and responsible and not just sorry? Well, there's a really clean 3-part formula that native speakers use all the time. The formula is just 3 simple steps. First, you state your ownership of the mistake. You say what you did wrong. Second, you deliver the right apology from our ladder. And third, you offer a fix. You say what you're going to do about it. This whole structure just screams maturity and focuses on solving the problem. And here's what that looks like in practice. Instead of just repeating, sorry, 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 you say, I was mistaken. I am sorry for that. I will fix it right now. See the difference? It's so much more clean, confident, and it signals to everyone that you're already focused on the solution. So, as you can see, an apology in Korean is so much more than just a word. It's an active choice you make. It's your tool for managing social distance, for showing respect, and for taking real accountability. So, the real question isn't just, what word should I say? It's, what kind of relationship do I want to build with this choice?